Welcome back to WGLNA. I'm Joshua Gray.
I'm Randall Holcomb.
And I'm Dan Cho. We've had 3 matches over with, some one-sided, some very close and down to the wire, some expected results, some upsets. What's going to happen in this last match? What do you guys think?
I don't know. I'm done predicting after tonight.
I'll give it a shot still. I'm thinking Simply Irresistible looks strong. Noble hasn't been performing as well, but this is a chance for Noble to bring it back against an opponent that is of high caliber, but not necessarily of that Simp Cunningham's level.
Yeah, sure. Breaking these guys down real quickly, we'll do after we remind everybody real quick to make sure to follow us on Twitter at WGLNA, Facebook.com/WGLNA, and make sure you use that hashtag WGLNA so we can find your tweets and put them up on the broadcast.
And of course, the question of the day, who is your favorite pro and why? Don't forget, on our Twitter and on our Facebook, WGLNA.
And the face-off is ready right now between our 2 team representatives. Go ahead and check in with Noble and Simply Irresistible. Good evening, gentlemen.
How's it going?
Going very well. Let's start off with Zombie Food. Vode looks pretty cold. We'll let him warm up for a bit. Zombie Food, starting with you, tied in 12th currently with RBIS, even though, or excuse me, with Roulette, even though they need 2 more matches. Lost to the Cunninghams and a comeback tiebreaker. Tell us what happened in that tiebreaker.
We were up 4-1 on that last steps match, and I believe the story is that I screwed up on a call, which allowed the Cunninghams to come in on the defense side for them while it was 4-2, and we didn't really have that strong of an attack strat yet. And so they were able to clean that up, and then they were ready for our Himmel's attack the second time around.
Did you make any necessary adjustments after watching those battles? Okay. All right, good. We're seeing a lot of teams really take heart and take the time necessary to improve by watching those battles. You guys continue to have kind of back and forth nights. One night you guys look fantastic, another night a bit of a struggle. Does that depend on the attitude that you guys have moving into the battle?
We were making a lot of adjustments through the after the Simp battle towards last week, and I think we finally got it down.
And you guys actually didn't make any roster changes this roster change period. Is there a reason? Is there a reason you can say no to that? No roster change.
Everyone's pretty active and performing at least decently. So
if it's not broke, don't try to fix it, right?
Yeah.
All right. Good to see you, Zombie Food. Let's check in with your opponent. Who are you in the New England area, Vode? Is that why you're so cold?
Ish, yeah.
Okay.
In DC, so yeah, we're just trying to survive Snowmageddon over here.
Oh man!
I actually had to dig my computer out of the snow this morning, so it's been rough. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, at least it won't overheat that way.
Yeah. At least yeah. With all this clothing, I'll save a little bit on heating bills. Yeah. My computer's running amazing, so no complaints really.
Good. You guys are currently tied in 5th place with RBIS. Previously, Elevate got the win today. Your 5-2 win over RBIS has catapulted you into this 3-way tie. Has this helped build momentum for your team even more so?
In terms of the playoff picture, yeah, but like internally in the team, no. I think now there's contention because now that we're like an actual team, we need to. So there's a lot of people trying to compete with Swipple to be that star player, and I just don't know if there's room for more than one Swipple on this team. So we've been struggling a little bit the last weekend.
Is that why you got rid of Speed and JD?
Yeah, they were just. I think they were going to take the throne, and yeah, in the Game of Thrones, you win or you leave the team.
Oh, okay. Not as violent compared to the Game of Thrones as I'm familiar with.
So
no spoilers.
So Canada is going to just sit back in the background and not take that crown away?
That's what we're hoping. We're hoping that he has enough experience in the limelight that he's just going to be able to come from River of Blood and just kind of just chill and be a background member of the team, supporting role.
And then Jack Attack.
He is a new prospect that we just brought in. We're hoping to see big things from him maybe next season. He's a little bit lacking on the experience side, but he's friends with a few guys on the team, and he's been playing with us for a while. So we're bringing him in and seeing what happens.
All right. Well, best of luck to him. Best of luck to both the teams here. Vote any words for your opponent before we start?
I think after what happened to Laps and Simp, I better stay away from the smack talk. But I would like to say that since Laps was misbehaving, we did put him in a timeout, so it shouldn't happen again.
Well done. Well done. Zombie Food, any words?
I hope these matches are fun, and I believe they will. So, good luck.
All right. Thanks again, gentlemen. Be safe over there on the East Coast, Fode. Good luck. We'll see you on the battlefield. My family lives in Virginia, and I'm pretty sure they're experiencing the snow as well. They're about 4 hours south of D.C.
And did you guys ever open a window and turn off the heat just so you could cool your computer during the winter?
No.
No?
I mean, I grew up in New Jersey, so I know a little bit of what you were experiencing. But I also didn't really have like a really good PC. I had like a gateway computer.
Yeah,
from,
did
like,
you
90s.
overclock it, then do everything you could?
Overclock like a 0.5 gigahertz.
I mean, you got to get every
CPU.
bit of performance you can out of that thing. So
That's right, man.
you got to figure out crafty, cheap
freezing
ways.
up on my Doom 2.
Yeah.
Put a mini fridge next to it. Leave it open.
Yes.
No.
Liquid cooling.
Didn't have that problem. Simply Irresistible with that victory over RBIS, I think, really changed them in the positive of taking out a team. Obviously, they're going up against veteran teams, right? So the losses, we can say, are expected. If they play against Simp, they play against Hammer Time, they play against Cunningham's, it's experience versus the new kids on the block. When they play against RBIS, who really impressed us last season, third place victory, joining us for the first time, and then they take them down 5-2. Simply Irresistible is where did this team come from kind of thing has been the main storyline for them.
I mean, they've always kind of been around for a little while. There was actually a different Simply Irresistible before the WGL, early on in tournaments. And this was I was reminded of this a few days ago when some of the players trash-talking each other in one of the chats they have threw down, oh yeah, hey, remember there used to be a Simply Irresistible back when the first tournaments happened during, the Ural Steels.
Yeah.
And I think it was Vode was there, and he's like, oh, I guess we gotta change our name, find another simp pun.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
In the ancient days, the ancient times of World of Tanks esports.
Back in my day.
Yeah. Ural Steel.
Yeah. That's a long time ago.
It is. It is. I loved hearing stories from some of the other players about their experience of traveling for the first time internationally to compete in an esports tournament, and how that was a very kind of new thing to even bring up and to explain to a lot of people. Now in 2015, you mention it,
It's commonplace.
and it's I think 1 out of 4 people our age know what we're talking about or have heard what we're talking about.
Well, I mean, I'm Froden,
to
you've
this
competed.
day, 3 out of 4 people don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Is that what Clutch is saying?
Yeah, that's right. We got to go knock on their doors and tell them about esports.
Hello,
But-
sir. We'd like to teach you about esports today.
Yeah.
We have some literature with us.
Long
Here's our
ago.
rosters. You mentioned the changes coming from Simply Irresistible, but no changes from Noble whatsoever.
No, I think they're content with their lineup. I mean, it's a solid group of guys,
Yeah.
all very skilled. So I think it's just time that they're waiting for.
All right, folks, make sure to place your bets. It's real simple. Ask the people in Twitch chat. Badco, our moderators, standing by to help you out. It's time for our final battle, match number 4. Or our first battle, match number 4, excuse me. Noble versus Simply Irresistible. What do we have for tanks?
Well, Noble, the red team, is going to bring a 1390, 4 RU-251s, a T-49, and a T-37. This seems to be a new strat coming out. And on the other side, it looks like Simply Irresistible is going to have 2 T-32s, 3 RU-251s, and 2 M41 Walker Bulldogs. So a very fast lineup with Crisis and that T-49, which very well could set this one off. Whoa, never mind, Crisis.
Come on.
That's the 90 mil, which Crisis, I don't understand you. Wait, this might be meant to throw off throw off Simply Irresistible. It's an inferior gun.
Why?
Are you sure it wasn't an accident?
It could have been an accident.
Yeah, possibly.
Just
Shots
garage.
fired.
It could be head games.
One connection hitting Zombie Food, the other hitting Flak as Noble makes their presence known in the center of the map here. Follow up between teams. Not much movement or shots fired. Losing sights on tanks from both teams now.
Well, we do have one tank from Simply Irresistible moving over towards the hill over on the 0 row. And if he can get some spots, he can definitely put some pressure on the lines, but it seems like Noble instead is rotating across the other way.
Yeah, I think it's just bad timing on his part. He's not going to be able to get much from it unless maybe Noble decides to flex back. but that's really up to them. I don't see any reasons for them to do one or the other. They could even just pull a timed out and go right over the middle, which I don't think that would.
Possibility. Major issue gets hit for 240 from Swipple. The king, Simply Irresistible's Vode had set. And the firefight dies down a bit. No, Sovereign Zul gets hit from long range. This long-range fire from Simply Irresistible is turning in their favor. And now they have over 1,000 hit point advantage against Noble.
It's really big, especially for a defending team. The attackers definitely need to get the edge in some of these skirmishes. Well, perhaps Noble can use this one-line push here as leverage, as an advantage for them to spread themselves out so a crossfire can be really effective. But for now, that 1,000 point HP lead is going to be huge.
Using that lead to their advantage, they can continue to hold as the defenders, as you mentioned, Dan. But to the north, Noble making their position here, the 430 mark, to possibly attack, but the congregation of tanks in this section, obviously it's coming from the same side, but it's two fronts. It's the very northern Bananas to the Wall Host and Anfield, and then you have the rest of Noble's tanks in that center section with Sovereign Zul way to the south, still scouting, and he is spotted. Zombie food, a little bit south of Major Issue, 4 minutes and 3 seconds for them to attack.
There's still plenty of time. Sovereign is also, like you said, he's been spotted, but at the same time, Simply Irresistible has also spotted Anfield, and they're seeing the push now across to the flag, and this is something that Noble needs to do right now. It needs to actually take proactive charge. They're going to be charging the center, though, trying to catch Flak and Moderator out of position, and they're trying to go for the sweep.
Although I think this is a trap, Simply Irresistible seems to be lined up perfectly to counter this. Focus fire going on to Crisis immediately after Simply Irresistible just comes around a corner through the middle. So they are able to deflect Noble very easily and react to this push.
Vode is able to push up and continues to be a presence along with Moderator, but he's going to take significant fire to his southern flank. He's one shot away from falling. Steiner Pride is going to push up, and both of those tanks fall. Moderator falls back, and Noble continues to fire, and they have the tank advantage, taking down 3 of Simply Irresistible's tank, but Bananas to the Wall Host falls, and Major Issues could be the next one. Canada is taken down by Anfield, and Moderator takes down Major Issue, and now the fire continues against Anfield here.
There we go. Eula getting a risky hit.
That was quite a back and forth just dance between tanks in this one section. Look at all these dead tanks all in this area.
Noble's doing a great job brawling and doing the switch and rotations very effectively, but just look again. Simply Irresistible, despite the fact that they've been getting out-brawled, they just had too much of a big advantage early on, and all those health costs just start adding up over time.
And even tanks like Eula going toe-to-toe with a 1390 and getting the kill, holding his ground. Swipple and Sovereign Zul, last tank's alive, and Swipple's going to go straight for the ram, but he fires right in time, and Simply Irresistible takes the lead, but barely. Swipple is at half health.
Yeah, that was as close as it could get.
Just seemed it was a carousel of tanks just firing at each other, kind of ringing around the rosy in one section on Provorovka.
We probably could have put the yakety sax music in the background and fast forward a little bit, and I think people would have had a good laugh.
Yeah, it was first the push by Noble, of course, going right up and in there, attacking. But if you take a look at the minimap, you see that Simply Irresistible is waiting for it. There are 3 tanks right in the middle, and they just come around the corner, focus fire begins. But because it's a reactionary move, they do lose their T-32 before they can make the proper response to this. But this does stop Noble, and they don't have as much of an advantage as they need to in order to get that hit point gain and bring this one back. Because there's still Moderator, who's in a T-32, that armor, that many hit points means he's going to live and be able to deal so much damage and be just a huge nuisance for Noble. They can't really afford the attention to just wipe him off without all of the other light tanks coming in, just destroying him.
Now, I know Vode mentioned Swipple, so that puts him kind of at the forefront of our mind, but he did perform so well. And if you notice in that replay of where the position of Noble was to some tank fire to the south, he would be exposed. So instead of hugging where the tanks where the T-32s were and continuing to fire back and forth. He continued to move up and over, and sweeping to the north to evade that fire coming from the south. Real heads-up play coming from Swipple. Impressive so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, going into battle number 2 here, one more time, we'll see the same exact sides. Can Noble choose a better route here for the attack? Because, again, I think it all started off a little bit too rocky for them at the beginning.
Yeah, what do we have for tanks, Randall?
1390.
Boom.
5 RU2, 5
All I
ones.
know is I have a fever.
And the only prescription is more RU-251s.
That worked. T-37 to finish it out. On the other side, I think Simply Irresistible is feeling nice.
Yeah.
They don't need any more than 2 RU-251s. I mean, 5 is a lot. That's more than your doctor's recommended quantity. And then 2 M41 Walker Bulldogs and a 1390.
Oh, man. Good memories of Christopher Walken.
Well, maybe this time around they can definitely get a better start. Getting spotted down the center immediately. Definitely more of the aggressive approach here at this game.
Yeah, this is much like what we saw from Timed Out earlier. Opening up early fire into the T-32s, trying to take down those tanks, which are later in this going to be so incredibly potent.
Yikes. Again, early pokes favoring your Simply Irresistible. Although Moderator did take a lot of damage as well.
Nice little mention from J-Smooth for Frodan there.
Ah, appreciate it, man. Well played, too. Good job, Simply.
And the struggle continues for Noble as Sovereign Zul is surrounded and destroyed. That's going to be all the eyes and ears on the eastern side of this map.
That's actually a 1v1. M41 versus T-37, that tier makes a whole lot of difference.
It was just Vode that was in the attack?
I mean, an M41.
Oh, yes, it was.
The
Okay.
clip on that thing easily takes down a T-37. T-37, while it can deal some decent damage, not nearly as fast or as accurately as an M41. And so that was a brutal fight. Very one-sided, unfortunately, for him.
Well, he seems surrounded with the amount of damage that he took so quickly.
Well, it looks like we have a response from Noble. An all-out mobilization across the 1 line. And trying to see if they can take a similar approach to what they did in the previous game. But last time this happened, they brawled pretty well down the center when they finally charged. So maybe this time around, now that it's been a little bit closer, equalizing in terms of HP, can do this.
It's quite possibly, and it's a really good point that you make, Den, especially with the amount of damage Moderator has taken.
But they still don't have really a lead. You can see that Simply Irresistible, the defender, still sits with 2 T-32s that are alive, which just being a gun on the battlefield is important enough.
Yep.
Then you've got the armor, the hit points, and Noble is still about 300 behind their opponent, which I think they need another good volley or 2 in order to weaken one of these tanks in order to then make their push viable.
What's the biggest weak opening here that Simply Irresistible setup has? Like, where's the area that you should
Where's the shatter point, as it were? Well, you can't push mid. You could, but that's risky, I think, especially with Enfield leading.
That's what Noble is doing right now.
It's very risky. You could have the T-32s pick up on this.
Oh, man.
And, oh, Bananas is, no, that's, okay, this isn't.
Well, they look at the split, though. They recognize that Simply Irresistible has a number of tanks on the other side, so they're going to go for an overmatch split, taking down the 2 T-32s in this section.
Well, they're doing a good job of taking out these T-32s very effectively, and they both go down. Can Simply Irresistible strike back? In fact, Noble's doing a fantastic job brawling. Wow, this is actually a big swing of things. Noble's got this sharp advantage right now.
Yeah,
Swipple takes another hit for 238. One more shot and he could fall, but Zombie Food is trying to escape these damage dealers on the side of Simply Irresistible. One more shot and he will fall. Steiner and Canadoc now focusing on the tanks with more hit points as Zombie Food is staying out of the firefight for a couple seconds. And Canadoc actually misses the shot against Zombie Food.
Oh, those are the kind of shells you need to connect. Otherwise, Noble, just give him a few seconds. Everyone's going to show up, and well, Swipple and Canadoc can't take much more damage at all.
No, they can't. And Banana Swallows and Blue Stealth have enough HP to deal with them here. Not as much anymore. Eula, and Swipple are able to get 2 kills, but there goes Canadoc. Steiner Pride and Swipple hold. 2 tanks remain on both sides. Now it's up to Steiner Pride against Crisis. Zombie Food is able to get 1 shot. Steiner sees Crisis. He takes another hit. He'll be loaded before Zombie Food, hopefully, but he can't get it. And Noble puts a point on the board if they take down Eula. Well,
So-
let me finish my thought. Eula's moving in.
I thought you were about to say
Nope,
it. It seems like it.
There's one tank left.
Wow, actually, it's still very much within reach as long as he can take care of these guys in order. And Eula will get the element of surprise.
Oh, there's one. Eula actually takes a hit from Crisis.
Oh my goodness!
Crisis body blocks.
It's
It will
so
be loaded
close.
in time, and Crisis with 43 hit points is able to hold and puts a point on the board for Noble.
That,
Oh man.
that was risky.
Ooh.
That's all it was. Noble made a risky play where the only reason that it worked out, I think, is because Simply Irresistible was caught off guard and they were baited. They played the head game. It wasn't they were out strategized. Well, you could say that on one level, but on the tactical positioning level, Simply Irresistible should have been able to deal with that situation.
Well, it created this scenario right when you mentioned it too, Randall, for our audience as well, to build that tension of they can't push through the center. It's too risky. Well, they're pushing through the center. But if that's the same mentality as Simply Irresistible as the defenders, they're not going to push through the center. It's too risky. And that's exactly what Noble does. It takes a while for Simply Irresistible to go, oh, they are doing the most riskiest play they can make here. We need to adjust accordingly.
Yeah, and I thought if Noble was going to push across the middle like that, they weren't going to go for the T-32s instead, that they would instead just bypass those tanks and decide to brawl everything in the backfield. Instead, they go for something I thought that was sure to fail, which was those T-32s. But later on, you saw momentum start to swing back to Simply Irresistible, but a few players were getting greedy, and instead of going for the guaranteed hit on Crisis, going for the kill shot. And because of that, you have Crisis at the end of that battle with enough hit points to get the win. Had there been one more connection on Crisis from an RU-251 before going down, you would have seen the tables completely turned here.
Every shot counts. Every shot matters as we move into battle number 3 between Noble and Simply Irresistible. What do we have for tanks?
Well, we've got a T-32, five RU-251s, and a T-37.
Hey,
Noble.
It works once.
Sure.
All right.
Simply Irresistible, 2 T-32s, 3 RU-251s, and 2 M41 Walker Bulldogs. The RU-251 is a really strong tank. You have to admit that. But bringing 5 of them seems like a little bit overkill.
Too much of a good thing.
I mean, overkill's underrated, yes, but I mean, you're serious? I would think diversity, bringing some different, tools in your belt, but it seems like they just want to put a bunch of screwdrivers in there and say, I can probably figure it out.
Well, we'll see if it ends up panning out for them, considering that the sides have switched. Attack and defense have now swapped here. Moderator taking some early shots, but it seems like for the most part, he's gotten some pretty valuable information on where Noble's being set up currently. A very traditional setup on the side here from Noble, being able to tackle all sides effectively, spread out, and of course have someone like Sovereign in the back in case he needs to be able to rotate quickly.
Yeah, and that's a strong position too. From where Sovereign is, he can cover that northern cross safely without getting overmatched easily. So it's just a better position in that respect. He can cover Enfield, but he doesn't have, of course, the opportunity to proxy spot things, which Enfield will have going for him in just a few seconds. Although it looks like Simply Irresistible is going to play a little bit more standoffish, keeping that distance, staying farther away from Noble until they get something.
It's a slow build-up. The long-range fire, the depleting of enemy HP before they would want to engage here. Well, Boat's going to go ahead and put his tank on the flag cap, try to cause Noble to poke their tanks out to get a shot against him.
And look at the timing of this and the positioning of the T-32s from Simply Irresistible. These T-32s are in a high ground, but with one little weak spot. The approach from the south, while covered by Canaduck, can become a bit of a weak spot. Depends on the reaction Simply Irresistible is able to make. If they're able to react properly and fast enough to overmatch any group moving in from the south, they should be able to come out ahead. But if they get distracted with other exposed tanks in the north, I could turn out with them making some mistakes.
Major issue. Gets peppered with one shot. Couple land close but do not connect. Anfield and Bananas to the wall host. Move up to reinforce the northern side, and Steiner Pride will see them, and Anfield's going to get lit up on multiple fronts, and he's going to try to move as quickly as he can and return fire against Steiner Pride.
And he doesn't have a chance. One more shell and he should go down. There it is.
And he does, but Anfield falls as well. And the 3 tanks from Noble continue to push up as the defenders will meet the attackers in the midfield here, trying to protect Bode with 32 seconds left, and he gets reset.
That's all they need. Now they can back off, play this a little slower. Of course, Sovereign Zool has been exposed for far too long, but Simply Irresistible's not making those connections. That's what's killing them right now. They're starting to lose some of those hit points. They have position, and now Blue Stealth moving out in the open is very risky. He should be taking much more damage than this. I think Simply Irresistible is not taking advantage of some of the opportunities that are presented to them, and that could come to bite them.
Especially towards the north as well.
Doing a good job poking as well and using this terrain to their advantage. Noble's doing a fantastic job. And it just seems like they've been getting the better end of skirmishes. Vodo's actually going to just move aggressively, but he's moving into an overmatched position, and he might go down quickly. How does Simply Irresistible capitalize on that sacrifice?
Well, if the movement from Swipple and Eula were to sweep to the south, that window of opportunity is gone. That northern section of Noble has a great coverage here, at least around the flag cap, and they could use that to their advantage, they being Simply Irresistible, of those tanks being focused towards that section, allowing for more of a southern sweep. 2 minutes and 49 seconds.
But it's like Rukil said, they're just missing their shots. There's an opportunity. They poke out, and they don't get punished. Major Issues has dodged so much damage because there's just been crossfire that hasn't been landing.
Those shells need to connect, and I think Vode moving out like he just did was not what the caller would have intended. That was a complete throwaway. The timing was off, I think. That may have been something he even did without any instruction or any part of the strategy, just going in and saying, I need to fight something or I'm going to die.
Well, being open in the flag cap area for that long, it could be that case where you're like, I'm vulnerable anyways.
Might as well make the most of it.
Yeah, it's true.
And Noble moves their tanks up to the north. They fire down south, but Zombie Food is punished. 2 shots landed into his hull. Crisis fires on retreat. He takes a hit. Zombie Food continues to get hit by shots. He falls back. Sovereign Zool's next to him.
I mean, now they're finally starting to land.
Yeah.
And these are some hard shots, too, which is even... That's so weird sometimes. It's like the harder the shot, the more likely they're hitting it at this point.
And then the easy ones up close, you go, how did I miss that? Yeah. How is that even possible? If I can make this, how come I can't make that? Zombie Food fires again on the move, and he gets tracked. And he gets hit, and Canada from the side.
That was fire. It hit penned, and the last little bit of damage was fire. Nice.
Canada had a beautiful shot, a great setup. And Simply Irresistible has 1:20.
Well, it's not really enough time to capsule. They got to go for the elimination, but it's still going to be very difficult just because of how much they sacrificed to get that spot. And Noble is now holding very strong in where they're, they have really got a strong foothold right here.
Simply Irresistible with the up and over. Swipple moves first. He sees Crisis, but Crisis holds and takes down Moderator. And there goes Swipple. Canaduck is able to take down Crisis. Another couple shots, and they'll take down Sovereign Zool. He gets 1. 3 tanks remain with so much hit points. Canaduck has not an uphill battle. He has a straight vertical climb.
It's impossible at this point.
There's just not enough time, too much hit points.
And that's it. He put up a good fight. And Noble now takes the lead. The lead 2-1. They take the league as well.
That's it.
That's it.
Season's over, guys.
It's over.
Everybody is now Noble.
No, they take the lead 2-1.
Yeah. I think that was just a big mistake by Simply Irresistible. A lot of little things not coming together. They put a tank on cap, and I didn't see them capitalizing on any of the opportunities which arose as a result of that, because you put a tank on cap, and immediately after, your opponent's going to have to respond. You set up crossfires, you spot those tanks, but that didn't really happen at all.
One thing that I'm noticing in a pattern of teams, but very specifically in that last battle, is that they're opening positions for potential fights later on, right? They're getting scouting information, like Steiner Pride's position way to the north. And he gets overmatched and destroyed immediately. Not much punishment because of it. Teams are not punishing enemies for taking risky moves against tanks that are overmatched. And that's why Noble was able to get that last victory. In my opinion, at least from what I saw.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. On top of that, I think Noble's also playing a solid game. They're making some of the right decisions.
Yeah.
They're moving around the map well. This is one of those days that they seem to be on top of their game relative to some of those days that we've seen that have been much less impressive.
Biggest thing, though, landing the shots.
Yeah, fully agree. Now we're going to the last time that we're going to be battling on proc for this map, at least. And then we go into the next one. I mean,
Cliff.
Yeah, Cliff follows this
which
one
is
up.
really weird because I have a lot of questions about Cliff, but we'll hold off on that.
Yeah, that's
We do, too, because teams are not playing Cliff
Right.
like they used to in 7x42
Mhm.
last season.
Well, yeah, even then, people weren't even sure because Cliff back then still had.
Yeah.
It wasn't exactly the most fun map sometimes.
It was a
for-
little coin tossing
Yeah.
because you don't really feel you have an advantage on either side. And so because you just have to clash right at the middle. But of course, a topic for later, of course.
Sure. So now we go into this fourth battle where Noble's up 2-1.
Yep.
And once more, it's going to be a very tough order for Simply Irresistible to crack that defense, which seems to be really strong once they set up.
Looking at the tanks, I've got a T-32, 5 RU-251s again, and a T-37 for Noble. So the same Noble strat where it's just light tanks. Let's go.
Yeah.
Smash things. And then on the other side,
Blow up.
Simply Irresistible, 2 T-32s, 1390, 2 RU-251s, and 2 Ed-41 Walker Bulldogs. So that more diverse, flexible strategy where you have a number of tools at your disposal for victory, which seems to be working okay, but you're seeing mistakes.
Split east and west coming from Simply Irresistible. And if Noble can scout this early on,
And here's the opening fire. We've got right up in the middle, shots into Shorkey, but there is a flank from the light tanks. Vode, Swipple, all on the flank, may be able to focus down one of these RUs before they're able to escape.
and because of this eastern side, Simply Irresistible is not able to answer to the amount of damage that Moderator and Shorkey took. They're going to try to a long range now against the defending Noble, but Noble is positioned from this long range to fire back toward those railroad tracks, and Steiner Pride was the first one to suffer that damage.
Yeah, it's just a little bit too much again now. It's like the exact opposite of what's been going on whenever Simply Irresistible was on defense. They kept getting a small HP lead, and now they're in the deficit. And unless they're going to be magically be able to turn up their brawling skills, they're definitely in trouble. I already sense it based off of the way Noble's been able to set up and execute.
Yeah, well, Vode and Sovereign Zool will scout each other to the north. They're very close to each other at least.
But Sovereign's still not spotted. Vode thinks he's on the high ground, but surprise, surprise, no. And now Vode finally has found his opponent, but there's support by Steiner and Canada, so he should be going down short.
And Vode continues to push in against Sovereign Zool. Steiner Pride sees him.
Oh, wait, what?
A little.
Vode? Okay.
Did he track himself?
Yes. He needed to hit his repair kit so they didn't drown.
Oh, man.
For a moment, I thought we were going to see the M41 drown, which would have been,
We've all been there.
I mean, not in a pro match. That would
Well,
be
yes,
bad.
we have. That would have been embarrassing to say the least, but we've avoided that crisis. 5 seconds on the clock, by the way. This is going to be a charge to try and reset the cap.
And Bananas barely gets it, though, down. A very smart play coming from Noble. The only play they needed to make to ensure they didn't get flag capped here. But Simply Irresistible has continued to maintain significant fire to these tanks that have been moving towards them one by one by one.
Yeah, this is really good bait out, just forcing a reaction from the defense. The attack was able to set up too well. And as a result, Noble was just caught, no, one by one individually. They're just getting picked off, essentially.
It was
Although-
almost like shooting fish in a barrel.
The zombie was able to get his little victory in the north, which is enough. And if you look at the health pools of each of the Simply Irresistible tanks, they're actually rather low. So between Blue Stealth and Zombie being so healthy as they are, they have a reasonable chance of taking this one back. Now, it's up to Swipple, I think, who's also sitting on 613 hit points. But if a few good connections can be made by Blue Stealth before he goes down, I think that we can see Zombie Food take this one back. It all comes down to Blue Stealth staying focused and just worrying about dealing damage and not about trying to prioritize one target over the other.
Blue Stealth continues to fire against Canaduck, but he is not able to get the kill. Zombie Food last alive for Noble's going to push up against Swipple. He's hopefully going to use his momentum, and he does to take down Canaduck. One one more shot, possibly two to take down Swipple.
Yes, and note that Swipple had to use a large number of his shells to kill the T-32. He should be on reload. Zombie knows this, and he's going to take his time to make those connections, but he cannot afford to lose the distance between him and his opponent. Although Swipple has stopped.
Yeah, he's given this time to reload. That gives him an opportunity to strike. Now, keep in mind, there's 3 minutes on the clock, so plenty of time.
Ooh, shot close to Swipple. Doesn't connect. Swipple, now fully loaded. 6 shots in the 1390 to take down Zombie Food in the RU-251.
And here's the thing. Will Zombie load HE or Heat? His choice could be victory or defeat. If Heat shells, then if he accidentally fires into the tracks of the 1390 Swipple, he might fizzle and then miss the crucial shot that would kill him and then lose. If he fires HE and it hits the wrong part of the armor, including perhaps the tracks, he might not deal enough damage and then be taken down by Swipple. So he has a choice, and he has to hit a very specific piece of armor for each choice. If he fires just AP rounds, which I'd be surprised if he's bringing, those would be the most reliable, but most RU drivers are not loading any AP rounds.
Swipple's going to use the dead husk of this RU-251 as cover as he places his tank on the flag cap. Zombie Food knows his position, begins to slowly set up along the railroad tracks, and with 87 seconds, plenty of time for him to at least get one reset. That one reset would significantly, damage Swipple, but also destroy the option to get the flag cap. Nice shot from Swipple here. And another one!
Oh my
Swipple
goodness.
Beautifully gets the victory for Simply Irresistible and ties up the series 2-2. And we're seeing prime examples of why Vode was talking about why Swipple's kind of the king of the team right now when it comes to performance.
I guess he lives up to the expectations for sure. Well done and very clutch. Just being able to manage his position, understanding like what to do in that scenario of how to leverage the final seconds and put pressure on. Very well done.
Indeed.
And the big thing about this is also Swipple. You guys may not know this one, but he is the highest rated statistical player in the league right now. He's led this one.
I'm not surprised.
Yep. And his crown was stolen from him briefly, I believe, by Soviet, but it is back safely in his hands, especially after a play like that.
Well, I love the setup here from Simply Irresistible, but Noble, I think, was just throwing too many tanks at the problem one by one with that flag cap. Needed more of a concentrated effort, cohesion as a team working together here.
That could have given them the edge, but in the end, they should have also been able to figure this one out.
Yeah.
I think that Zombie Food's hesitation when attacking Swipple was his big mistake. Now, he made a good call in killing Canaduck. I agree completely with this, but immediately following was his mistake when he didn't continue attacking Swipple. This is perhaps a little bit of our... we have that third-person view where we're seeing both teams.
The dramatic irony,
yes,
we call it, where we know what's going on, but the individuals on the battlefield do not.
Yeah, he can't possibly know the real. He can, if his teammates were counting for him, be able to pay attention to that. But
I think one of the biggest things was that dead RU-251 for Swipple at the end. He knew, if I use this as cover, I have just the right angle right over the dead tank. Why not? And I know the position that Zombie Food's coming from, and he spotted him, got the first shot, and was confident enough to get the second shot.
Although Zombie could have very well just made the choice of go to the other side, and it would have been a completely different story.
Yeah. A lot of what ifs.
A lot of what ifs.
What could be's, but we deal in facts and realities when it comes to World of Tanks. And the fact is, Dan's awesome. It's great to have him here.
Thanks. The actual fact that's on our mind is we're about to go to Cliff for battle number 5, and I have a lot of questions specifically about Cliff.
All right.
Okay.
In terms of how strategies work, tank compositions, and which team do you think does Matt favors more in terms of playstyle?
Okay, so first, tanks. 1390, just one of them. 2 RU-251s, a T-54 lightweight, T-49, and 2 M41 Walker Bulldogs. That's Noble. They'll be attacking first. Defending, Simply Irresistible has 2 1390s, 2 RU-251s, a single T-49, and 2 M41 Walker Bulldogs. So real quick, let's check out the 2 T-49s. I want to verify that they both brought the 152. And as we look at Shrine Pride, yep, Crisis. All right, so we're avoiding that one first off.
Sure.
If they brought the 90, I would give the victory to the other team instantly.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, if we look at positioning, Generally, the defending team gets to take the northeast and doesn't have to worry too much about their west side. Most teams won't go for it, and if they do, they're in a low ground and they have no real advantages for that. What happens in Cliff now is you see the T-49s just derp a tank.
Crisis hit for 284.
Yep.
Another one for 151.
If Crisis is able to get that one shell, that one huge connection, he can change the course of the battle. But otherwise, it's a bunch of small individual light tank tactics where it's very odd because you must get to the middle fast enough that you're not that you don't lose the position. But once you're there, you play it like you're a heavy or a medium tank, and it kind of throws everything off because most players in a light tank want to play very differently.
Right. The amount of damage these T-49s can do, we've seen alter the course of the battle a number of times, but they have to be in that mid-range or close range. They are very close-up tanks because of the accuracy reading is very, very difficult sometimes to deal with.
Yeah, it's not accurate. To say the least. And then on the move, even less so. But if you can get the right position and you're safe and you can peek out without all that much punishment, you can just throw shells out there and hope for RNG to kind of save you.
Simply Irresistible as the defenders continue to try to scout any movement coming from Noble in that center section. They punished Noble significantly at the beginning with long-range shots. But credit to Simply Irresistible by not overstepping themselves, overreaching to try to get a kill here. And there's a shot against Swipple in the rear for 239 from Zombie Food.
But the high ground, I think. Pride in his T-49 being so elevated right now and having commanding position over the lighthouse itself, Simply Irresistible should be able to get some damage and connections that could throw this into their favor. Now, if you look at hit points, it already is in their favor. Crisis has taken a lot of damage. Zombie Food's taken a little bit, and so is Blue Stealth. Oh. But when Pride comes... misses that shell.
And he falls.
He gets punished heavily, and now Noble, the attacking team, has a small opening.
Yeah, that's the high ground. That is the T-49 dead, and Pride got a little greedy there. But you can also say Noble was well prepared. There wasn't a lot of lag time between those shells being fired. They knew there was a T-49, and they knew they needed to fire in one volley, kill it.
Very heads-up play, good preparation play. Having your turrets, your reticles pointing at the right time, the right place at the right time.
Yeah, pre-aiming.
Yep.
It's something you need to do when you recognize there's going to be an engagement here. This goes back, mostly you'll see this when people are trying to scout. Like you'll see Blue Boys from Simp, he'll go to an area on the map, and he will tell the rest of his team, I'm scouting this, look here. They will look there, and they will be ready for when a tank is spotted, so that that tank, when it is lit, doesn't have enough time to find proper cover or for it to go dark again.
Well, from here, Noble's going to be able to start pushing up a little bit more along the lines, but still very slow and tactical. From here, Sovereignzilla may be able to start wrapping around and potentially start getting spots on where his opponents are. And from there, maybe Noble can evaluate whether or not they want to stick to this high ground or whether or not they want to do something else about it.
They could be also confused by their opponent's choice of defensive positions. You see how far back all of the light tanks from Simply Irresistible are?
Right.
Enfield's going to have to cross a great distance, so is Banana Zombie Food, all to begin this engagement. But
and
because
here is the cross right now. Vode takes a hit. Flak is hit for 250, another volley, but Zombie Food is pushing in to get behind these tanks very quickly here.
And then the focus onto Flak first, then they take him down. Now they need to keep this going. Losing momentum in this and not sharing hit points appropriately is going to come back to bite them if they can't stay focused.
Canaduck and Eula are the last bastion of defense on this side. Big shot and a big kill against Swipple from Crisis, up and over. Eula now hit from both sides. Baroness from behind, going to continue to fire into that tank as Moderator's trying to recover what's left of his team, and he takes a, well, he takes a big move to get away from Boostup up top, but a big hit from Crisis. That's what I was waiting for. Crisis moving up and getting that hit against Moderator.
Fantastic rotations coming in from Noble, from being able to take some shots, and of course, being able to start focus firing the right targets, being able to execute and finish. Just look at how Simply Irresistible wasn't able to finish a lot of the low health. Again, just not able to finish off Kind of unfortunate, 24 HP remaining for Crisis.
And Sovereign Zul trying to fire on the move, but he keeps stopping immediately when he fires instead of stopping waiting for any kind of settled shots. But now, Blue Stealth is almost loaded. And once he is, I'm expecting... Oh, wow. Mountain goating it.
Oh, wow.
There's one miss.
Is he going to be able to get it? Second miss.
Stay on target.
Steady.
There's 3.
I think he wants it a little bit too badly here.
Yeah, Blue Stealth, you can move in. You can move in and get the kill right here. Sovereign Zul takes down Moderator.
And that this means Eula's the last one remaining, and that's going to mean a noble victory for Battle 5, getting them the edge. This is best of 9.
And as the attackers as well, which is very significant because after the next battle, it'll switch positions where Noble will be on the defense.
And this battle, you also look at the damage. Pride did not get any at all. 0. That T-49 completely ineffective. Vote was unable to be effective at all either. Everyone else was able to do at least a little bit. Sovereign Zul, of course, coming to this fight late after putting pressure on the cap. But even a tank down for majority of the fight, Noble was able to win that entire side of the map.
Impressive from Noble so far, but it's not over yet. Simply Irresistible as the defenders, I think, need to, one, land their shots better in their T-49s, but not try to be as hyper-aggressive at the very beginning. I mean, what is there to scout? I'm going to play the devil's advocate. What is there to scout on Cliff at the very beginning?
I think it's less about the scouting and more about the position. You send your light tanks to the middle in order to gain that control, because without it, you begin to see the situation that Noble had over Simply Irresistible. Once that middle section of the map was in the control of Noble, it was just a formality from there. You have the high ground. You can choose to move in. They had to move in such a dangerous and risky way because their opponents were hidden behind a number of indestructible houses. It's really the reason they had to. If it weren't for that, it would have been crossfires building slowly for a few minutes until victory.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. I think Pride getting punished there was a big reason why Simply Irresistible lost that positioning. Sovereign could get away with just capping and didn't have to get fear of overmatch. Now we go into battle number 6. And this time around, Simply Irresistible needs to win. On defense, it's going to be very difficult to try to overcome Noble when they're going to be anchored up.
Yeah, and looking at the tanks, Blue Stealth in a 1390 again, Enfield Bananas, RU-251s, T-54 Lightweight, T-49, and 2 M41 Walker Bulldogs. Again, this is a very flexible, multiple lights lineup with the ability to react to a number of problems that way. Simply Irresistible also bringing a rather flexible lineup with their 2 1390s, 2 RUs, that T-49, and then 2 M41s. Opening shells are probably the thing to look out for. You're watching for Crisis, you're watching for Pride to make their connection. If they can, that will change the course of this game.
Quick update, Full Potato is up right now over RBIS. Steiner Pride pushes in, takes the first shot for 597. And here is the straight-on aggression coming from Simply Irresistible, and Vode's the first to fall. There goes Zombie Food. Eula at half health, crossfire into him.
But Enfield goes so deep just to get Pride, taking down that crucial T-49.
They wanted Pride, and they got it. Swipple has 2 shots left. He took 1 hit as he falls back.
This is all while Baronish is also on the rotation. Noble's been fighting a man down this entire time, and now that maybe they'll get some reinforcements, this is an opportunity for Simply Irresistible to capitalize on this remaining window, but they haven't. They've been taking so much damage. Noble's still coming out ahead of this one.
Just barely, though. They're trading 1 for 1 in tanks, at least. Health pool, yes, it goes in favor there, but we keep watching one tank die for another, and the tank's still alive. Baronish, a tier 7, where we've got a single tier 7 moderator still alive. Will we get a trade in favor of either of these teams soon?
Eula's very close. He's within 1 shot of getting blown to pieces, and Canada does land the shot, but he's going to be caught on the reload, giving the opportunity for other tanks to move in, and Noble is trying to press for the 4-2 lead.
Crisis pushing out the T-49, and he takes down Canada just like that. Blue Stealth, Crisis, a Bananas to the Wall host, now face 2 of the remaining tanks from Simply Irresistible. Moderator, now the only tank left. That is the power of a T-49, Dan. That's what really can change the battlefield.
And you saw Bananas even made sure to get into get a shot on target as well, so that he could just guarantee the kill, because T49 can be inconsistent sometimes.
And Noble wins again as the attackers against Simply Irresistible. They're one battle away from taking this series.
More importantly, they're going to be shifting on defense.
Yeah.
That was the defense attacking the attackers. And another opportunity for them to completely blow away, but they just weren't able to capitalize. I like that you were pointing out that the T49 was the point of interest, especially as Enfield was trying to go in for the dive. But the follow-up, where was the coordination from Simply Irresistible? They were just scattered all over the place. Some shooting at Sovereign, some shooting at Blue Steel, some shooting at Enfield.
And that's because Enfield decided to take that risk. He does go down for it, but he causes that confusion. Simply Irresistible, some members recognize the threat, and they value their T49 so much that keep it alive, right? If it gets one more shell off, that could be the difference between victory and defeat here. You need that damage, and it's worth it to peel away from everything else just to stop that guy from getting through your front line.
I want to break down these numbers real quick. You take a look at Bananas to the Wall host in the RU-251. He's 8 for 13, 1,853 damage. You move on to Blue Stealth, 8 for 11, 1,553. Crisis in the T49, 3 shots, 3 connections, 1,446 hit points. The reload is long. The accuracy is almost ungodly. But when it lands a shot, it does what you saw in that last battle.
Always delivers.
Yeah, it does. It's fun. Crisis in that T49, though, the gun that he was using,
It's a 152.
it's a 152, thank God. If it's not the other gun, if it was the other gun, Canada
If
goes,
it was a 90, it's like, well,
what are you doing?
Yeah.
at this point, we don't know. At this point, he's just trolling,
Yeah.
maybe to see if he can win despite that. We're going to go into battle number 7. Simply Irresistible is in a must-win situation from this point forward.
Looking at the tanks, 2 1390s, 2 RU-251s, T49, and 2 M41 Walker Bulldogs for Noble.
A mirror match.
You're right. Perfect mirror match. Instead of that T54 lightweight, looks like they're going to opt for some different choices here. More damage per minute.
Quick update, RBIS versus Full Potato is tied 4-4 right now.
Wow.
Give you an update once that tiebreaker has completed.
Well, Noble, they're on the defense now. They've done a fantastic job winning as the attackers on Cliff, nevertheless. Let's see how Simply Irresistible does. This 2 split from the 5.
Oh, and look at the flank. Vode, Moderator, both heading out to the west.
Yep.
If this slows down, Simply Irresistible has the opportunity to really do some work. But with Sovereign Zool going up and over the way he is and dying instantly.
Oh, man.
Stein says you got shut down. Baranesh and Bananas pushing past them. But can they stay alive long enough to make a difference? Flack, the next target coming from Noble.
They just want to brawl. They feel so much more confident in their ability to team fight at this stage that Noble is just diving in recklessly. And even though they went with a sharp disadvantage at one point, Simply Irresistible was up by 1,500 hit points. Noble's hanging back in there.
Yeah, they're still staying in the fight. Crisis from behind, looking for a shot. Waiting, anticipating. He sees Moderator, and he gets the shot with 1 hit. That's all it took. Takes down Moderator. Canada takes down Anfield. 3 against 2 in favor of Simply Irresistible after that whirlwind of a battle.
Yeah, and it's still not truly over. This could still go either way. If Crisis lands a solid connection onto Vode, Swipple, Canada, anyone, that's effective enough. Of course, I think it's a waste to hit Canada. He has 233 hit points.
Swipple would be the better target, especially the amount of damage he can do in that 1390.
Yeah, and he's sitting at 618 hit points, which means you're less likely to get one of those low roll hits where you don't quite get the kill. But with Swipple, there's a pretty good chance that your one shell will connect panic
zombie
kill.
food from up top. You can see Swipple from this angle, but he's not going to chance it yet.
Not quite yet. Vode is spotted, though. And that's going to cue Zombie to just kind of back off, I think. Get into a bit of a defilade, make sure he has cover. But he'll return, looking, finding Swipple.
2
Oh, he's got the angle.
hit point tanks. Well, Zombie Food takes a hit for 254. He fires back. Crisis is now going to move forward. Swipple is low.
Flip it, switch it. There we go.
And they move together. Canada now pushing up. Sees Crisis, gets a hit for 233. And Zombie Food can't land the shot against Swipple. He needs to get that kill.
Crisis is going to go for Vode, I think.
And gets a shot for 382.
But Zombie Food is flanking around. He's trying to see if he can catch Canada off the reload,
And
he
he gets
does.
it. Beautiful shot from Zombie Food. Vode gets hit again. Crisis now on the reload, halfway through. He's going to ram right into Vode, going, Vode, you ain't going nowhere. One more shot, and Vode will go down. Crisis ready to line it up, and he gets it, and that's it. Noble takes the series 5-2 against Simply Irresistible. Hell of a series.
Oh,
and another upset that we've been able to see, and today has been packed full of surprises. Who knew it'd be so interesting to watch when I stepped into cast? I was told that this would be one-sided, that a lot of series weren't going to be that interesting, but I guess they ended up did.
Dan, it means you need to come here more often.
Well, maybe I'll have to write into my schedule. It's very busy, but it's been a pleasure to cast with you guys today.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. We had some awesome matches tonight, and I think this is a bit of a turnaround for some of the teams that we've seen from the very beginning of the season in the Gold League going, it's going to be a rough road. They've made it past the roughest patch, and now a lot of them are starting to adapt and look a lot better.
And they're getting results. They're getting real results, wins. Even though some of them are tiebreakers, yes. We've got Simple Tankers, Victoria's Secret. That one's just, of course, the disappointment here. We're hoping Victoria's Secret was going to be able to get that, but Noble, so inconsistent through the season. I'm glad they finally made it.
Yeah, yeah. Anything can happen any night here with Tanks. Go ahead and recap the matches that we saw tonight. First off, we had Hammer Time versus Top Tier. In the end, Hammer Time was able to get the victory 5-3. Timed Out. This is not an error, guys, if you're just tuning in at the very end of the broadcast. Timed Out defeated Simp, the lowest team in our standings. Defeated Simp, the undefeated team, in a 5-4 tiebreaker.
You said undefeated team? I'm pretty sure they lost.
Yeah, they were undefeated. They were.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dan. Simple Tankers takes on Victoria's Secret 5-0. And Noble takes down Simply Irresistible 5-2.
Unbelievable set of games. Definitely a fun finish to the way Noble was able to execute. And I like it so much. They just realized we're better at brawling right now than our opponents. Why not just charge down the center of Cliff and be able to out-skirmish them? Great call-out and rotations once again, and a strong finish from Noble. I'm really happy to see them perform well.
And it didn't help that the strategy that Simply Irresistible had brought was perfect in that it was vulnerable to that exact push.
Right. It's almost like they reached down deep and found the former super aggressive hold my beer tactics from before. Noble is they were called Googly Bobbers.
Yeah,
which you may remember that team.
Yep.
So it was really cool to see. Great to see a lot of aggression. Taking a look at the matches that were off stream. Quick recap. Cunningham's Roulette, we played at a later date due to Roulette traveling for another tournament. Elevate took down Penguin Mafia 5-1. Fun Gaming lost to I Love Lamp 5-1. Full Potato RBS currently tied. The updates will be found at fantasywgl.com as well as wglna.com. The show matches for Thursday. It's crazy, man. How do you top tonight? It's going to be the question for the rest of the regular season, I think.
That's difficult. I don't know how you're going to be able to do that.
Well, Top Tier versus Penguin Mafia, Simp versus the Cunninghams. That's going to be a great series. Roulette versus I Love Lamp, and Elevate versus Simple Tankers.
You know what?
Between two of the top teams, I'm sure that's how you'll top it.
Yeah. I think we just answered the question.
Yeah.
Great day, great series of matches tonight, and we're only getting started. Really moving on into kind of the final push of our season as we're in week 6. But let's go ahead and take a look at the standings of where we stand right now with all these different teams.
Yeah, we've got Simp leading the way, 28. Although that's gonna change as soon as we update those standings for you guys. 23 points for the Cunninghams. Hammer Time with 20. Elevate 18. Fun Gaming 17. Arbis 15. Tied with I Love Lamp and Simple Tankers.
And rounding out the bottom for the rest of our 16 teams, we have Simply Irresistible in 9th place currently with 15 points. Full Potato right behind him with 14. Noble moving up slowly but surely in the standings at 11th. Top Tier right behind him, followed by Roulette. Those standings will be adjusted as soon as Roulette plays the matches that they've missed due to their travel. Followed by Victoria's Secret, timed out, no longer on the bottom after that tiebreaker victory. Penguin Mafia rounding out our 16 in last place. Our finals are going to be taking place in San Francisco March 15th. You don't want to miss it. Put it on your calendar. It's going to be happening at the Folsom Street Foundry in downtown San Francisco. A lot of people from Wargaming are going to be there. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll give you a little more information when it's actually the exact start time. But it's going to be at the Folsom Street Foundry. And $171,000 prize pool is going to be on the line for the top 4 teams.
Yeah, it blows away our previous season, doesn't it?
Yeah, by a big margin as well. Some people are going to get rich off playing tanks. Kind of jealous.
I mean,
Hey, man, you get good at a T49 if people select Cliff. They may give you a
Sure.
call. Well, that does it for us. Any final words, Dan?
Thank you so much, guys, for having me. I've been having a lot of good times watching the broadcast. It was fun to jump onto the desk with you guys again. Can't wait to see what's going to happen.
It was great to have you.
yeah, it was great to have you. Thanks for coming.
Raquel?
I think it was a pleasure to have you on, Dan. That was really one of the big highlights. Also here to make sure to point out when I missed awesome puns, and to also make sure that we knew these upsets really do mean something. Thanks.
Whenever it happens again, you're going to hear my voice in the back of
Yeah.
your head saying, "You messed up.
Yeah.
You messed up."
It's
Always
going
now.
to be words of encouragement going, go for it, Randall.
No.
Go
it's
for
gonna be you
Make
messed
the
up.
pun.
You messed up.
And that's because I'll be in the production room whispering into the audio.
Ah,
Oh, God.
I see. Well, thank you so much.